Now I'm going to start working on this part of the kit, which has got sort of electrical bits in, switches, pumps, clock movements and things like that. 7 in all. And I've started off with the switches. These are rotary switches and you can adjust how many clicks they have, and I just want what's up 2 clicks, an on and an off position. The first thing I did was to stupidly cut off the pin that locates this in a panel. The idea is you have a hole in the panel, this bit sticks through, as you twist it round, this twist, that doesn't. I don't need it for the Nempnett Thrubwell, but I stupidly cut them all off, and I realised the next job, or the first job, was to cut the end of this switch into a square so that the brass gas key would fit properly on it. Because when these switches come, and I've only just got the camera back from charging up, so I haven't videoed it, but they are half round and one flat on one side. So I made a jig, and the jig is, here's the cunning jig. You can see there's 4 holes where this little pin is meant to locate. So you put that in there, get the bandsaw working, that sits in one, and then you basically run this against the bandsaw blade, and then you pull it out, turn it round, run it against it again, and it cuts all 4 sides, and it does work extremely well. I'm pleased with that, because when I first started doing this I thought, how on earth, what tool have I got that can shape that into a square? But that's it. So I've got that done. I'm going to use these brass fittings, lovely brass fittings, to support the switch. I need to cut a very complicated story short. I've had to cut out all these little bits of plastic. I'm going to glue that on there. That also has the added benefit of holding the click selecting ring in the right place, so it just clicks twice. Then that means that when you put the kits together, you slide this back bit over there, over that first plastic ring, and then you slide a second larger plastic ring over, and then you tighten it up. That means that the switch is then held onto this. Again, it's one of those things you think, well, that's pretty obvious, but trying to figure out how to create a really attractive looking brass on and off switch that doesn't need special tools to be assembled really did take quite a long time. Then of course you put that on. I've got to drill these out though, so that this bit sticks right through that, and this bit that sits on there is drilled out so that fits in. So when it's all assembled you don't see any of the blue plastic. That's what I'm currently doing. How exciting. Oh yeah, and Victoria's head printed perfectly. Really pleased about that. This is a different sort of plastic. It's actually called cold white. I didn't realise that's what I'd ordered, but it's worked really well. What I'm printing at the moment, come on print head, hide everything as always when I get the camera going, is her mouth and other bits and pieces, the little levers that are going to open, work the eyes and things. So bits and pieces, never a dull moment. I need to finish the kits before I start on Victoria again, because people have already started ordering them. Brilliant! I'm so pleased that they're almost finished. I reckon by the end of today I can get the last little kit bit together and I'll put it all together. Fabulous! Heinous sin, they're not the right colour. They've got to all be the same, and yet these two are not. Why? Well, the reason is that I cut the corners, cut them square if you remember, and then assembled the whole thing having drilled out one of these and found that these were too long. The gas tap was sitting really quite proud. You could see the blue plastic. So then I went ahead and trimmed off 5mm from the end of each of these. Great. And then I realised that I'd cut off too much of the sides, the square shape that I'd cut on, and that the key would not push far enough down. So I went back to my lovely jig, and it betrayed me. Well, actually my brain betrayed me, because I'd forgotten I'd turned some of these. So there I was, sticking this end in, thinking, oh, I'll line it up with that, and then twist it 90, and I ruined two of them by getting them set at the wrong angle. So I've basically turned them into a very, very bad hexagonal or octagon. Yes, that's right. So they're almost round, so they're useless because the gas tap won't stay on them, won't grip it properly. So luckily I found I had two other ones, and I'm going to use them. What an idiot. Needless to say, I have started making copious notes about what I'm doing as an aide-memoire, which is obviously very necessary. I thought I'd mention these rotary switches in case it would be of use or help to someone who wants to make some sort of steampunk machine or device. These ones are single pole 12 way, but you can either, which means there's one contact in the centre. Let me zoom in a little bit. There's one contact in the middle, connected to a wiper in effect with these switches, that then moves all the way around. So that's one connection to 12 possible outputs. So it's a 1 to 12 way switch, sort of. You can get other ones, as you can see. These ones have got the other pins cut off in the middle, and the insides are different. But you can get a 4 pole, which is 4 wipers, which would be 3 way because there's 12 points. You could get a 2 pole, that would be 6 way because there's 12 connections around the outside. I just want an on-off. So the other thing you can do with these, like I said earlier, you can select how many clicks they go, which is useful because you might have one like this, which is a 1 pole 12 way, but you might only need, say, 5 different options for some sort of device. So they come with, and these ones haven't had them fitted, you have to fit them if you want them, they come with these little things. The idea is you turn them right back to 0, or 1, I can't remember, probably 1. And if I want it 1 click, I put it into that first hole. That will then be tightened down when I tighten this. You see that, well, if it didn't flip out, that then prevents the switch from turning more than 1 click. Very useful, and they're all pretty much the same. Any switches that look like this, rotary switches, even different makes, they're all the same sort of dimensions, which is handy, as I found out today. Thank you. These fittings are compression fittings, so they come with olives in. Lovely little good quality copper olives. Sometimes you get brass olives, I think, and they're really difficult to crunch, but to tighten properly, whereas copper ones are quite malleable and they tighten really nicely. So there's the 8mm and there's the 15mm one. We don't need them, we just need the brass bits. What I'm going to do once I've taken all these off is put them on the lathe and drill them out so that the hole is big enough to take the end of the gas key, or radiator bleed valve key, actually, what it is. That's it. I've soldered the wires on. There's so many kits. Kids get kits that people very kindly give them, and they just give you a load of wire and you have to bear it and you have to wind it round, which doesn't make a good contact. If you're going to do a kit, you need to do it properly as far as I'm concerned. So I soldered them on to the components. Also, to make them easy to push into the breadboard, tin the other ends, wind them together and tin them, which means put a thin layer of solder on them so they poke in, they don't all sort of split apart. And to finish off the ensemble, I also put heat shrink tube over. Just simply, I don't know, I mean, it's a lot of extra effort, but it just makes it look so professional. And I refuse to use a hot air gun. there's not enough hours in the day. A lighter will do it nice and quickly. It just stops the risk of the wires repeatedly being moved and snapping off where they join, because it gives it a bit of support and also insulates it. And I think it looks fabulous. Yes. And another part ready to join the kit. I've soldered wires onto the back of each of the air pumps, and I'm now going to do some more quality control by testing it with a horn. That's good. How frustrating. It's another day, and I have got the instructions on how to fill up the box for the Nempnett Thrubwell kitchen timer kit. Every kitchen should have one. You can find out more about it at steamhead.co.uk, my website, or Etsy, which is Steamhead Inventions. I've got all the bits I need now, all ready to assemble the final part of the kit, which is the copper, metal and other bits and pieces. Get all ready to start making the kits, put them together, and realise that the company, the fabulous company in Glasgow that I bought the copper parts from, very good, sent me the wrong order. They sent me 2 lots of this coupling rather than including any 15mm end stops which go on top of the candle, the flickering flame effect. That is so annoying. I'm so pleased, because I found, amongst all the detritus and filth, I found I had actually got one. That's one. So I managed to put together last night the kit that someone had ordered, so I managed to get that off in the post this morning. But I can't make anything else. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to find some urgent delivery, because that's all I'm waiting on now. I've got everything else done. Even the stickers that go on the boxes. Everything's ready to go. I reckon it's because they don't use the 3-point quality control checks. Because what I've realised, it's so easy to make a mistake. And what they've done is obviously just grab bags and things and do a final count. How many bags are the right number? Okay, send it off without checking what's in them. The way I do it is I count them all out first. For example, 28mm Munson rings. Count them out. So there's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, there's 9 because I used one last night. 9 of those. I then count them into each kit like you've seen before. There's, for example, with the electronics one, 19 things need to be in that envelope, that bag. I've done that with all of them, so when I assemble each kit I check and count that I've got the right bits numbering that kit. So that's the second check. And then finally, when I've finished putting all the kits together, this box should be empty. If it is empty, that's great. It means that's the final check and they're all used up. It is, as I say, very easy to make mistakes. I think I had one kit, I've done pretty well, but I had one kit, and I think it might have been one that we'd had open at a steampunk event, and there was, funny enough, the 15mm end cap, stop end, missing. We'd had the bits on display, and I think someone just thought, oh, that looks like a nice shiny thing, let's help myself. Other than that though, I haven't had any errors, touch wood. Brilliant. Another thing I did yesterday is to carry on working on Victoria's head. Here are the first lot of bits inside of her mouth, jaw, opens and closes, and the levers and bits and pieces. I've got them done, and I've just started printing eyeballs, eyelids and other things that actually need a support inside. So that's why it started building the sort of mesh network that it can build to support complicated shapes. Brilliant. Right, on the hunt for 15mm end feed, no, 15, on the hunt for 15mm solder ring end stops. What am I going to do? I've got the remaining 9 boxes completed with the cable ties each side, or one side, to hold the really heavy package of copper parts inside. How exciting! It's all clear so much space. So this is what you get with a Nempnett Thrubwell kit. Comes in a lovely strong box. You get a packet of lots of lovely copper and brass components. You get a lovely packet of gears and other laser cut bits and engraved labels. You get a packet of the pump, electrical parts, battery holders and all that sort of thing. Packet of fixing screws. Packet of electronic components and the electronic jig, the circuit. A packet with rubber gloves, PVA, wood varnish, beeswax and super glue in it. Then you get a packet of all the wooden parts, lovely. You get a beautiful horn. And before I pack any of these kits away, each one I'm going to test with the power supply. Yep, that's passed the test, brilliant. So I'll get all this put in the box.